an effort to monitor the pressure and flow of water at pump stations, water treatment plants, and distribution networks on the coast, the Ghana Water Incorporated has intensified its use of data loggers. The logger senses any increase or decrease in pressure and flow and instantaneously relays this information to a web-based server. Once the pressure or flow drops below a predetermined level, the logger sends a text message and an email notifying the relevant personnel. Once alerted, the necessary action is taken to determine the reason for the reduced level of service, which may include a leaking flushout valve, damaged main, a fire hydrant in use, loss of power, or any other electrical fault. Appropriate measures are then taken to address same. GWI has thus far installed 78 of these web-based devices on its networks in regions 3, 4, 6, and 10, and hopes to complete the remaining regions by the end of September 2018. This allows the utility to better monitor its facilities on a 24-hour basis from any single location or mobile device at any given time. Hello, good evening, and welcome to GWI's Customer Alert. My name is Leanna Bradshaw, and I'll be the moderator for tonight. On the panel with me, I have our head of water quality, Mr. Dion Anderson, and of course, Mr. Curtis Niles, who is our regional manager for Georgetown. And in tonight's program, we will be speaking about works undertaken to improve the service in Georgetown. Tonight's program is focusing mainly on Georgetown, and of course, for the other regions, we won't forget you. So we're basically having a series of programs focused on improvement works, and of course in the latter segment we will highlight how non-compliance and untimely bill payments can impact you. So welcome to the program, gentlemen. All right, so it's good to have you. And of course, Mr. Niles, as you may know, for the first half of this year we've had numerous works, and we recently had our half-year press conference where we updated the public and the media on works done. And I know that in Georgetown we have an aged infrastructure, which saw us repairing 666 minor leaks and 52 major leaks, which is mainly due to that aged network. Could you walk us through the manpower and investment needed to address such situations, as well as the cost for this?
First, Leanna, let me say that the boundaries of Georgetown are Cummins Lodge in the east, the Demerara River in the west, the Atlantic Ocean in the north, and Agricola in the south. Georgetown is subdivided into 6 zones. Mm-hmm. Each zone has an engineer, a supervisor, and 2 crews. Each crew is headed by a crew leader. One of the crews is a contract crew, and the other is in-house crew. And so we also have a senior engineer who's responsible over all the zones. And so in each zone we will have about 12 persons, including an engineer, and that helps us to execute in a timely basis our leaks. As regard to our costs, we spent over 90 million this year.
Wow.
In effecting leak repairs, and the costs escalated primarily because of the number of large leaks, and particularly our transmission lines, 18-inch and 16-inch transmission lines. We had 9 breakages in the first half of the year, and that alone is 30% of our costs. So these age network is taking a very large toll on GWI's revenue.
So could you explain to us basically the manpower? I mean, you mentioned how many persons within a crew, and so they basically have to work beyond the call of duty to ensure that water is restored to customers.
Yes, particularly I would like to explain when we have those major breakages. In the major breakages, we have the crews. We will not only have the crew for that specific area or zone, but we'll have to use crews from other zones. Okay. We will have, myself will have to be involved the senior engineers, other engineers, and we will have about 20 persons,
Wow.
including pump operators, excavator operators, uh, the tractor operator to take those pumps to the
Mm-hmm.
locations, and so
Mm-hmm. And on an average, how long would a scenario like this take you to restore the water?
it'll stick.
Say for instance the 18-inch breakage we had more than once on Vicinton Road just recently.
That 18-inch could take us as much as 14 hours
Wow.
to
Mm-hmm.
repair. And I must know that we've been going through the night for those because
Yeah.
we tried to reduce our disruption. And so we will do it in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go through straight into the morning
Right.
to reduce the inconvenience to our customers.
Mm-hmm. And I must note too that the customers have seen our hard work. Sometimes they message us on Facebook, oh, what's happening with the water? And then when it's restored, oh, thank you for working throughout the night. So we must thank you for your patience and your understanding. And we must say kudos to your crew, Mr. Niles.
Thank you.
And so moving on to water quality, I know this is a big factor for GWI in ensuring persons receive water that is safe for consumption, especially for our managing director, given that he's a physician. And from January to date, we've had 22 of the 24 water treatment plants recorded as being fully compliant with regards to microbial quality, and 11 of them performing satisfactorily well with regards to core WHO standards, WHO being World Health Organization. What are some of the challenges you face, whether on a daily basis, a monthly basis, to ensure that residents receive water with these guidelines that satisfy these guidelines?
Thanks, Liana. Um, First and foremost, we have to understand that we must be monitoring our water quality on a very frequent basis, especially here in, for example, here in Georgetown, we monitor on an hourly basis with the recent establishment of a mini laboratory apart from our central laboratory. And we have planned, excuse me, to have a mini laboratory in every region throughout the country so that frequent and ongoing monitoring can continue. So we can have 24 hours, 24/7 monitoring the water quality. And based on our mandate, we are expected to produce water of compliance, 100% compliance with WHO standards. And as you mentioned, more than 92% of our
Mm-hmm.
treatment plants are producing water that's microbially safe. That is to say, there are no detection of pathogens or harmful microorganisms within the water.
Mm-hmm.
That remaining 8%, we are working assiduously to correct that and to improve um, areas where there may be difficulties. Also, we have close to about 40% of the plants having issues with iron. All right, and iron, as we know, can cause a lot of staining,
Mm-hmm.
and without a doubt, we are grappling with that issue in many of our pump stations, more so than our treatment plants. And so, at the beginning of this year, we've embarked on several exercises where we're going into the fields, going different homes to test the water quality as well as in the different treatment plants.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, we've identified what is the problem at, for example, two of our treatment plants just recently, and we were able to do that by conducting analysis throughout each and every treatment stage. As you would know, the water treatment process consists of many treatment stages:
Mm-hmm.
the aeration, the filtration,
Right.
pH correction, etc. And for example, the central water treatment plant, which is on Mandela Road, known as the Back Road, and the Virgin Ocean treatment plant. Those are two plants that we're working on currently because we've identified that the filter media, the material used for the filter media, needs both optimizing in terms of the depth
Mm-hmm.
and the type of media used, because the media would have been depleted over the years, and also the pH correction. So currently we have engineers working on restoring the line dosing systems, the chlorine dosing systems for disinfection, and replenishment of the filter media. so that within another few weeks we can have those plants totally compliant with WHO parameters and performing efficiently with with respect to the removal of iron. And that's an exercise that we're rolling out to each and every treatment plant to carry out a diagnosis. And this is not a one-off exercise, but it will be done routinely so that we can constantly evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of each treatment process, so that we would know if one treatment process, because if one treatment process is out, it's like one organ of your body is out, the entire treatment process, the entire treatment plant will be affected. So we'll continue to do that on a monthly basis, and even more frequent in cases where needs arise, so that we can ensure that there's continued water quality, improved water quality throughout.
Well, you mentioned a number of chemicals and products that we're using to ensure the water is safe. Could you give us an average cost to purchase these chemicals, as well as cost for testing, and just an overall figure maybe on a monthly basis?
Let me give you, for example, here in Georgetown, which is a truly representative treatment process using both surface and groundwater.
Okay.
We expense in excess of $20 million a month for treatment and testing only.
This is the entire Georgetown.
This is just chemicals and reagents used for testing.
So you haven't spoken about electricity
We're not
costs
talking about the
yet.
electricity costs.
No manpower,
We're
Mr.
not
Niles
talking
laughing.
manpower. So it's well in excess of 20 million.
And I know that we also have to pay some tariffs when it comes to these chemicals, correct?
Exactly, exactly. So for example, the Shelter Bell treatment plant uses alum, which is aluminum sulfate, so that we can get rid of the colloidal material in the water, the organics. It uses lime, so that you can correct the pH, because we know here in Guyana, our pH is characteristically on the lower end of the pH scale in terms of 5. For example, in Linden, we have pH values as low as 4. And so
Let
we
me
need a
cut
lot
you,
of...
Dion. What does that mean for the regular man? I know we speak about the alkalinity as well as the pH in the water. What does that mean?
All right, so pH is a measure of the acidity or the alkalinity. In other words, how acidic the water is or how neutral the water is. And everybody knows, well, I presume, a pH of 7 is the ideal value you want, because that's neutrality.
It's like a balance.
Right. So anything below 7 is considered acidic.
Okay.
Now, our surface waters, for example, the water used from the Lama Canal, in the case of Shelter Belt, or the Demerara River in the case of Linden, or even in the Mazruni River in the case of Bartica, those sources have a characteristic value that's well below 7.
Okay.
So it's very acidic sources. Because of the nature of our soils, our vegetation, you have a lot of the organic material from the vegetation dissolving into the water. It contributes to the acidity in the soils as well. So having established that, and this is delving into a bit of chemistry here now, the alum, which is one of the main chemicals used to treat the water for the organics, the alum even lowers that value more.
Okay.
So the water is already at a pH of 4. You add alum, it might even drop to 3 or 2. And hence you have to add lime or sodium hydroxide to bring the pH back up. Hence both chemicals are needed and very much needed in all of the surface water treatment plants as well as the groundwater plants.
And I know that these chemicals also contribute to improving the aesthetics of the water as well.
Definitely.
Okay. You mentioned earlier about iron and so forth. And you also mentioned $20 million, which is just in chemicals. Despite all of this investment and this work put into improving our water quality, we know that we have to face reality. There are still some complaints in some areas about persons receiving high iron content, it's staining their clothing and so forth, and even sometimes an unpleasant scent. First of all, is iron harmful to health? That's my first question to you. And what is GWI doing to address the situation in some of these areas?
Well, that's a good question, because many persons wonder about that. And fortunately, iron is not harmful to health. Based on all of the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, based on all the research and literature, we know that iron is not harmful to health. However, it's unpleasant in terms of the aesthetics of the water, because it causes staining to the bathroom tiles, to clothing, if in excess of certain values, which we have a threshold value for that. And therefore, it is very important for us to always ensure that whatever source of water, irrespective of the source, the iron values are well below. Because the iron, especially, and let me just interject that um, of our 24 treatment plants, 18 of those treatment plants are from groundwater sources, and that's where the iron is predominant.
Okay.
In addition to that, we have 132 wells in the country, and we're constantly exploring the drilling of more wells. So all of these wells have the issue of iron, and I should say at least 90% of these wells, right, which are in the A sand aquifers. And therefore, iron is of grave concern to us. We have to ensure that our procedures and our processes used to treat the water takes care of the iron. I will say in the past, and this predates most of us in terms of our employment here at GWI. In the past, many wells were drilled, and the focus probably may have been then on quantity. And what we're realizing now that we have many wells drilled to supply the need of water there, but then now the problem is to get rid of the iron.
Okay.
So we're currently engaging in analyzing and evaluating different technologies to treat the iron. In some cases, we're using Sequest, which is working quite well in many areas. And in some areas, we're looking at substituting that for even other technologies. So we're in the process of doing a cost-benefit analysis in terms of financial viability, in terms of effectiveness of removing the iron, and in terms of effectiveness or efficiency in overall treatment, so that we can ensure that these pump stations, right, also are free of iron, so that when persons turn on their taps, you can have water that is pleasant aesthetically as well as safe for consumption.
Okay. Well, thank you there, Dion. You basically hijacked that part of the program from Mr. Niles. But Mr. Niles is going to be joining us in the second segment. But we want to take a short break for a segment of our program which we call Faces, Places, and Voices, where we hear from you, our consumers. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Places, and Voices. Today I'll be chatting with a customer. We're choosing random customers and we're going to ask them about the quality of the water that they're receiving from GWI. Can you tell me about the quality of water that you're receiving, if you're pleased about it, or what can we do to make it better?
I think it is quite okay, except for you still have a little like sediments inside. Only in that area it can be improved.
Okay, so you're saying that you're seeing a lot of sediments in the water, but other than that, the water can be used for various things.
Yes, it can. It's quite okay to use for your washing, your cooking, and so on.
And how about the pressure? Do you receive good pressure?
Yes, it's quite good.
And where is this?
This is in Northrumville.
So far, so good, but not water you could drink, of course.
So you're saying that you're seeing what? Rust, dust, what?
No, not in Tongue, but one know for sure, like place like Canal and so the water rusty. And not like Georgetown.
Okay, and what about the pressure? Are you receiving good pressure?
Yeah, reasonable.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm very satisfied with the quality of the water, and not only the quality, but also the steady supply. Yes, it is. I get on the top floor, although not all day, it's good enough.
Okay, so is there anything else that we can do to assist you in any way that GWI can do?
In terms of the supply, if we can get water on the top flat all day, that would be good. But for now, I'm satisfied because the hours that we get it is when I'm usually at home.
And which area is this?
Tugville.
Quite frankly, no. I think we could do a much better job right now with our water facility. Being that Guyana is now growing with our oil industry now developing, I think we need to do a lot more work in terms of the quality of water that we give to the Guyanese public and to our visiting foreigners as well. So I think that's something we should look into very, very soon.
And which area is this?
West Right Belt.
Okay, so what are you seeing with the water?
A bit brownness, it comes through the taps as well. Early in the morning period, the water is very, when you have to boil it, you see a lot of sediments in it. So it's something we should work on.
Okay, we're definitely taking that into consideration. What about the pressure? Do you receive good pressure?
Yeah, pressure's okay. Morning showers are okay, so yeah.
So you're getting it all the way up.
That's a good thing.
So that's one improvement.
That's one improvement.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Thank you so much.
Places and Voices, a segment of GWI's Customer Alert. And if you just joined us, we're talking about improvements in Georgetown, as well as our investments and how timely bill payments can, or untimely bill payments rather, can possibly impact you. So I've gotten an addition to my panel. Sitting on my immediate right is Mr. Nigel Niles, the Executive Director of Corporate Services. Sitting beside him is Mrs. Andrea Can, our Customer Relations Manager. Of course, Mr. Niles, he is our Regional Manager who was here with us in the first segment of the program. And joining the GWI family, just for tonight, we have Ms. Judy Sample, the CEO of Credit Info. So thank you for joining us tonight, folks. All right, so I'll start off with you, Andrea. We know that we mentioned a bit earlier that timely bill payment is something that we're really trying to encourage our customers to do. And our customer services department has been forced to ramp up our disconnection campaigns. And my keyword there is forced. So we're targeting delinquent customers from 2015 coming forward. Can you tell us a little bit about this exercise and about the number of days before disconnection and service removal and so forth?
Sure. Thank you, Leanna. First of all, I must say that in the past, GWI has been extremely lenient with its valued customers. So much so that we have outstanding payments from since 2015, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And right now, we are forced to ramp up our disconnection campaign because of this. We have been lenient with our customers so much that, you know, as Mr. Niles mentioned early on the program, we spent $90 million alone to fix leaks. So obviously, in order to improve our services and to maintain that level of service that we have, revenue is needed. So before we get to the disconnection stage, there are a lot of things that we do. We give our customers enough chances. We check their accounts, ensure that it is correct. Right now, our managers are working tirelessly across the country, ensuring that the field verifications are done and these information that we have with outstanding balances are correct. And once we realize that it is correct, then we go after that debt. Also, in order for we give enough time for customers.
I say 2015, we were in 2018,
right,
and you know.
Yes, exactly. So GWI bills on a monthly basis. So from the bill generation date, customers have 28 days in order to pay. If a customer does not pay within that 28 days, then they're eligible for disconnection.
Right.
Now, if a customer still does not pay after that 28 days, we will send them a notice telling them that they have 45 days in order to pay, or at least attempt. I mean, we have flexible payment plans.
Right.
Many options available for our
So
customers.
it's not a case where they have to pay that lump sum that they would have
it's
accumulated.
quite simple. So they have an additional 45 days before their entire service connection is removed.
So we're still being very lenient and giving a
Exactly.
lot of days.
Yes.
Just that we've winded down to days instead of years.
Exactly.
All right. So it sounds as though customers need to basically step it up. You know, sometimes if you loan somebody some money, if you don't remind them, you probably might end up waiting as long as GWI.
Disconnection, of course, is our last resort.
Yes. So you mentioned also persons not paying from 28 days and onwards, so we still have to remind them. So I
Yes.
think Mr. Niles, we have two Niles on the panel, Nigel, I'll say. I believe this is where you come in because we become suspicious as to how are these persons, you know, getting water.
Exactly.
So what happens in a case like that? Do we possibly look to see if there's any tampering?
What happens actually is after the service removal, a list is then sent to my department for us to take legal action.
Right.
Our procedure is we would issue a formal demand letter to that customer indicating this is your balance. We're giving you an additional 7 days. So apart from the 45 days that Andrea mentioned,
Oh, really?
we give them also a little time to come and pay. And if there's no response, we then proceed to file action in court. With respect to tampering, that is usually discovered by customer services, and based on the information that we would need as legal to take that matter to court, they will then prepare their case and forward it to us.
So if they are found to be defaulters, they have to pay the reconnection fee,
Correct.
the tampering fee.
And their outstanding balance.
Okay. And the tampering fee, does it vary?
Well, Angela may be the best
Yes,
person.
it does. For commercial customers, the tampering fee is $50,000.
Okay.
For domestic customers, it's $25,000.
So Nigel, basically, how can someone avoid this? Just pay
Just
your
pay
bill.
a bill. Just pay your bill.
And this
It's that
is to
simple.
avoid it reaching the legal aspect.
Or come in and, as Andrea mentioned, come in and get one of our friendly payment plans. I mean, there's something that I advocate with customers all the time when I speak with them. If you can't pay the full amount, the managers are very flexible on what they will accept as a down payment.
Okay.
And also the monthly installments to ensure that you can pay off your bill.
So that's not set in stone.
It's not set in stone.
All right. So on average, how many legal notices have been disseminated in Georgetown to date? And how many cases
Georgetown?
are before the court, if any?
Well, let me answer the last
Okay.
one first. There are no cases before the court for Georgetown right now, but we are working to get there. There's a list of possibly 500 customers for legal action.
Oh.
Out of that list, about 200 are customers with balances in excess of 100,000. So we're focusing on those customers for now. We've issued.
So there are possibly more than 500.
Yes.
Okay.
We've issued about, I would say, about 60 demand letters so far for that bracket of customers, over 100,000. And before the end of this week, probably another 70 or 80 letters will go out for those customers.
So I'm not sure who on the panel between Mr. Niles and yourself who can answer this. How many customers, or what is our customer base in Georgetown, our database?
31,540.
Okay. All right.
40.
Okay then. But we do have cases before the court in other
In
parts
other
of the
parts,
country.
yes. Berbice, for example. We have matters that are pending in Berbice right now.
Okay. Mr. Niles, Curtis, even as GWI, our customer services department rather, tackles our debtors, how does non-payment affect our operations and the services that we offer to our customers?
It really adversely affects our cash flow. And you know, there is a saying that money answereth all things. And our suppliers, adverse payment affect our suppliers of materials, spares, and services. Adverse service, and I'll go detail into those a little when I
Okay.
go back. Then adverse service affect our own maintenance program. Adverse service affects our project being done in a timely manner. That's our own project at GWI. And adverse service also impinge a lot on our own, paying our own staff. And so it is critical that timely payments be done. Materials, our chemicals. If we don't get that payment on time, it means that we will have difficulty in giving our customers the quality water that we want to give them. And so our spares, if we do not have timely payment, it means our pumps, our chemical doping pumps, and our submersible pumps that are at the wells, it means we will not be able to maintain them properly.
So while we have the manpower and while we're willing to get the job done, it basically boils down back to this. Because in our Faces, Places, Voices segment, as you heard, we had persons giving varying views. What would be your response to that? Basically the same thing, that we want to get it done, but our hands are tied.
We need the resources to do it better. Because as we can see, there are room for improvements.
Right.
And so timely payment will allow us to able to deliver better in
So
a more
we-
timely manner.
Right. So we recognize that there is definitely room for improvement, and that's why the payments, you know, they make a whole lot difference. And of course, that is why we have applied for a rate change, which is what we're going to be talking about in the coming months. So it, like you said, money answers all things. So we definitely want to improve our service to you, and we know that we have some areas in which we are lacking, and we are working towards that. And so, Andrea, we've begun to work in tandem with Credit Info. I know some persons are familiar with the organization, and this is to ensure that our customers are compliant. So, aside from the disconnection, we're taking a further step. Explain to us what does this mean for customers?
Okay, this simply means that customers need to pay their bills, they need to pay it on time, they need to clear their outstanding balances in order to have a healthy credit score. Many customers are not aware that by simply paying your utility bill, it can affect your credit score. Our friends at Credit Info, Ms. Semple, will elaborate on that a bit more. But all hope is not lost for our customers. We just want them to know that if it is that your current balance is too much for you to handle,
Right.
remember we have our payment plan, which are flexible. We can work with you, and this will make you, be compliant with Credit Info levels. Also, for some financial institutions, it is required that you have a compliance letter stating that, you do not owe GWI and so on. We offer that to our customers, of course, at a cost of $5,000. And let's say, for instance, there's a person who is not a customer with GWI.
Okay.
For instance, I live with my parents, and my parents are the account holders, but I am applying for a loan, and the bank requires that I submit a document stating that I am not indebted to GWI. We offer that. Of course, that's free because you're not yet a customer. I'm not yet a customer with
Alright.
GWI. So we can also do that to ensure that our customers are compliant with the law.
Okay. So, Ms. Sample, this is where you come in. Can you tell us about the role of Credit Info, especially for persons who are not familiar with the institution, and how are customers' payment trends used?
Okay, thanks a lot, Liana, for inviting me to be on this panel and for the opportunity to basically establish the partnership between GWI and Credit Info. Something that I think the public needs to know, that we are a company that we facilitate access to financing, but we do that by capturing payment history of, as the law says, data subjects, which of course includes every one of us and businesses. And we provide that information to lenders, who then in turn use it to assess people's application for credit. So to more specifically answer your question about how people's payment trends are used, the information that we capture relates specifically to individuals' credit history, and that history is reflected in all their credit facilities at all financial institutions, high purchase agencies, and even utilities like GWI. So and in the compilation of that information, a credit report is produced. And that credit report actually gives details on individuals' payment history. So how they would have serviced their GWI accounts, how they would have serviced their accounts or credit facilities with financial institutions. Specifically.
So persons might be wondering, okay, how does my name end up on Credit Info's list? How do you have access? Is there a law that allows you to do this? Can you further?
Yes, the law that governs the Credit Info or the Credit Bureau is the Credit Reporting Act of 2010 and the Credit Reporting Amendment Act of 2016, which made it mandatory for utilities, all lenders, including utilities, to upload data to the Credit Bureau. So all lenders that give credit, all agencies that give credit, including utilities, are required by law to submit credit information to the Credit Bureau. So technically, we're all, all of our information is within the Credit Bureau database. But I want to assure the public that nobody's there sifting through their information. It is just because there's this perception that we want to know their business, we want to, like we're just sitting there just going. No, we wouldn't know you unless you present yourself either to us with proper identification or to a credit institution, a bank or anything like that. and give permission for your information to be accessed.
Okay, okay. And aside from financial institutions, I know sometimes persons like to buy things or purchase things on hire purchase. Does it come into play in any way there?
Yes, the high purchase entities are also subscribers to the credit bureau. So
So if I want to go and purchase a new set for my house, a new furniture set, and my credit history is not so good,
then then that lender will make the decision accordingly.
Okay, okay.
It is for the lender. We don't advise or anything. We present the information that
So you don't influence
exists.
it in any way.
We don't. We just the data. We don't even own the data. The
Right.
data is owned by that credit institution. So it is just uploaded directly to our database, and whatever they reflect is going to be reflected on your credit report.
So let's say, for instance, someone, a customer of GWI, you know, their payment trends are not so good. They haven't been up to date with their payment, or let's say they wait 6 months down the line to make a payment. Is that reflected negatively as well?
Absolutely. Whatever is outstanding is reflected, and we've seen cases like that on numerous occasions where persons owe GWI, for example, that information is reflected. Maybe they didn't remember, somebody they're renting a property, for example, and the bill is not paid, and also for all sorts of different reasons. And then they would come and then they query.
Okay.
Or they go to the bank for a facility, and you know that information shows up. They end up coming to us to query it. But then the bottom line is you just needed to pay GWI.
So, Andrew or anyone else, feel free to jump in, guys, whenever you please. Although there are some persons who pay their bill, but they pay it within their own time.
Right.
You know, how does that still affect us?
That will still affect them because the number of days that that person is in arrears will affect their credit score. So all of that information is being sent to credit info.
And it also impacts GWI.
Yes, it does.
Okay. How would such a person get back into credit info's good books, so to speak?
Well, fine. And I'm happy that you asked the question that way because it is not in our good book.
Okay.
I think what is reflective of what is reflected in our database is a reflection of that individual.
Right. So it's their own
So
good books.
it's your own good books that you need to. So I think essentially what we need to adopt are good payment habits. Just the attitude and the mindset of ensuring that you make your payments on time every time.
Right, right.
Because it is going to show. So there are cases where people want to pay a lump sum at one point in time, but the system is automated. So if you have a monthly payment, it should be paid on a monthly basis, essentially, or somehow reflected on a monthly basis in your account. So your credit history is your reputational collateral,
Right.
and guard it, you know, with everything that you have because. We have seen cases where the credit bureau is more advanced in Jamaica, for example, because of the advancement of the system and people's good payment history pattern. Individuals are getting unsecured facilities a lot more at lower interest rates.
Okay.
So even your GWI, so you may not have borrowed from a bank, but you have a utility bill in your name, GPL, GWI, you know. So all of that constitutes credit history. So in the simplest of terms, just ensure that you're up to date at all times and pay attention. And if it is, and one other thing I wanted to stress, that if you're not too sure what is reflected, come in and check. The law allows for every individual to have one free credit report in every 12-month period. So just know before you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're now joining us, you're watching GWI's Customer Alert, and you may see on our screen the topic that we're discussing. We will also now facilitate some of your calls. You've heard the topic. If you want to find out anything customer related in Georgetown, we are here to answer your questions. I'll ask the number is on the screen right now. Feel free to give us a call and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Andrea, I think we have a call here. Let's see.
Good night. You're on to customer alert. Hello? Okay. Hello, good evening. Hello?
Hi, good night.
Good night.
I'm calling from over the river. I'm living in a house where it's a rented house. And I do a contract since it's 2013. I clear that contract with my bills. I have all my bills. But the money is still coming back on the bills. And now and then they come in and they want to cut off. The first I go into them when Juan Lal was the manager for Port Reindeer. And he gave me his number and he mentioned to me I must call him whenever. A couple of weeks ago again they come to cut off my water. And I have my bills where I pay, but money keep coming back on the bills them. I go in to query it and
Okay.
instead they go take it off. The manager said here I have an official contract. Why they didn't get off this thing from the computer? They make I pay $14,000. Say they're gonna refund back my money. I never get back the $14,000, and the money is still coming back on the bills.
Okay, ma'am. If we will have to look back at your account, and if it is that we see that you've paid that amount, we will ensure that it is credited to your account. But could you provide your name and a contact number so that we can look
Danny
into it?
Rangauri.
Pardon?
Danny Rangauri. That is the bills that they come in.
And what is your contact number?
698-2073.
And which part is this on the West Bank?
Zealand.
Zealand.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
What we need to remind customers who are on payment contracts, even though you're paying towards your payment contract, there's still a current balance that needs to be cleared.
So they're paying that backdated payment as well as the current
As well as
payment.
the
That's
current.
right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We have another call. Good night. You're on to customer alert.
Yeah, good night. I want thing. I pay every week. Oh, I have to give.
Could you lower the volume of your TV, please?
Yeah. That's not your minute.
Please ensure that when you're calling, the volume of your TV is low so that we don't have this feedback. You're there, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I get some bill leave for pay. I have a contract, right?
Uh-huh.
I pay the contract, but the bill coming $7,000 a month for what the bill.
So you're on a contract.
Yeah, and I get a bill yesterday already at $7,000 a pay month. I know that I'm here at the home. I mean, I have to pay $600.
Well, as Andrea just mentioned, I'll have her explain to you once again.
Okay, sir. Even though you're on a payment contract, you still have to clear your current outstanding balance.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, she's explaining that although you have that you're on a contract and you're paying for some backdated arrears, you still have to pay your current consumption, what you're using currently.
They pay every for pay a month. $35,000 a month.
Okay, well.
All right, we'll take your information and we'll explain to you via phone tomorrow. What's your name and your contact number?
My name is Georgetown.
What's that?
Nandini Alfred. Nandini Alfred.
Okay, and number?
619-2130.
21.
30.
All right.
All right,
thanks. Okay. So I think this is something that customers are probably not clear about. I mean, they have outstanding balances. We put them on a contract to ensure that that is paid off, but they still have to pay what they are currently consuming.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, we have some more calls. Good night. You're on to customer alert. Hello? Hello, good night. You're on to customer alert.
Hi, good night. I got one complaint. Y'all talk about the guy or something, right? I sit on 2 days on my veranda, right? And I watching 5 man plus the truck man sit down there, right? And I take 2 days for the one bore. And y'all say y'all ain't getting money in there.
I don't understand your question, sir.
My question, then come up with a bore. Do a connection with someone. And I sit down and watch them 5 worker, right? Plus the truck get a contract out there.
So
right?
you want to know?
They come, them bore apart and stuff.
You want to know why so much manpower is needed to do one connection?
Really, why y'all say y'all ain't getting money?
Which area is this?
And more.
All right, Mr. Niles, if you'd like to explain, no, just a general explanation in terms of how a connection is done, a service connection.
They got a boat through the road. They take one day, 5 man come plus the truck come. Then yesterday come back, them bore, and then you say I get the money, and they sit down whole day laughing, gapping, skin them teeth, and take them time.
But sir, what does that have to do with getting money?
No, you have to do because they only burning the government money, and you say I'm getting money for the water board.
We'll try to address this concern. I'll ask our operations manager to address this.
I don't quite know the specifics, but from my understanding, that is a cross the road service, which would require us to pass the service connection below the surface of the road. And what equipment they had or what equipment they needed to do that, I'm not certain.
So it's likely that they would have needed. The situation varies basically. Based on the connection and
where
the
service line is.
Okay.
The distribution line is.
All right. So we've got to wrap things up. The operator is signaling to me, and so we can't basically go into all of our questions. But I just wanted to put this out there. I know that it has been in the media that we are having a change of rates coming up soon. The entire country will be on par with Georgetown. That is a rate of $112 per cubic meter, and a cubic meter is equivalent to 220 gallons of water, or half of a 450-gallon black tank. And so just some final words, Mr. Niles, for customers who put GWI on the back burner and wait until their bill is accumulated, what message would you have for them?
They're going to end up on my desk at some point.
And this is the legal man speaking here. All right, Andrea, any final words?
I just want to encourage customers to pay your bills on time. We've heard that paying your bills on time gives you a healthy credit score.
Right.
It keeps you off of our disconnection list, and it helps to improve your service from GWI.
Mr. Niles, any final words on the operation side?
Timely payment will definitely improve your service.
Okay, and Ms. Semple?
And to echo the same thing, timely payments and develop good payment habits.
That will give you a good credit score.
And it lead to a good credit score that you can even have greater access to credit.
Okay, so I want to thank you guys so much, including our head of water quality, Mr. Dion Anderson, who was explaining how our water is treated. We want to encourage you to follow us on social media at Guyana Water Incorporated on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're also on YouTube, and our website is www.gwiguyana.gy. Also, if you have any further queries, we have a live chat on our website. Our customer service call center number is 227-8701-03 or 04. And I'm sorry, we're having more callers coming through. If you have any concerns, just hit us up on our Facebook page, drop us an email, and you can always call the customer service number. Look out for some more programs on various stations countrywide as we're enlightening you on what we've been doing in your area. My name is Leanna Bradshaw. Thanks for watching.
If it's not one thing, it's another. Last year we barely avoided disconnection for the Christmas. Now we got to deal with estimated bills because I hardly at home and I left my gate open for no thief man come and carry me in my fowls.
Granny, you gotta get up to date with the times. So GWI released this new app that allows you to read your own meter and send it to them so they won't have to estimate your bills anymore. Plus, this app bad for this. It allows you to report a leak right away just by taking a picture and sending it to them. So Auntie Jane next door could report her leak.
What a thing! Bye, you're gonna have to show me how to use this app.
Download the GWI customer app from the App Store or Play Store. Sign up with Facebook or use the Create an Account option. Once signed in, add your GWI account by entering the reference number found on your bill. With the GWI customer app, you can check your account balance and payment due date. Report a leak by taking a picture and adding a description. Submit meter readings by taking pictures and entering the numbers in black on the dial. If you're unable to submit your reading, choose from a list of reasons why and have it addressed by GWI's technical team. GWI is a customer app. Download free from the App Store or Play Store now.